coming today. We really appreciate it. I believe this is the largest thinkLA breakfast that we've ever had, so give yourselves a round of applause. A special thank you to Google for sponsoring this and making it all possible. Jim? All right.
So we have a great lineup for you today. So with OEM and agency insights, each presenter will provide their own take on what you need to do to keep audiences engaged and stay relevant in today's ever-changing digital landscape. So first off, we have Jack Hollis from Toyota, then David Angelo from David and Goliath, and to close, Fred Sattler from Initiative.
What we're doing now is we're transforming the consumer experience from shopping to purchasing, but also from ownership to advocacy. And I would challenge you right now that if your company is not thinking from A to Z, all the way from the start to the end, with that consumer experience in mind, then you're probably missing out on what your calling is. We're continuously learning, testing, checking things out. We're not perfect. We make tons of mistakes. And to be honest with you, I hope that Toyota starts making more mistakes, just make them fast. Because I want to connect in new ways all the time. And the technology we're talking about that you represent in this room is changing so fast. It's happening so fast that you're going to make mistakes. Just make them fast and move on. And we needed to do something to re-energize ourselves here in the US marketplace. And we had one thing happen last fall, it's already been mentioned once, that helped us showcase this changing and more maybe humanizing of our brand a little bit. So here's a hint. Well, first of all, anybody guess what it was? I think I heard someone say Endeavor. Well, it involves a space shuttle, it involves a truck, and it involves a very large donut. And we launched a fully integrated plan of TV and PR and digital and social and events all around that. Now, all right, so Toyota Let's Go Places. What the heck does that mean? Let's break it down. 3 words, let's, let us. It's an invitation to everybody, every one of you, old, young. It doesn't matter, male, female, we want everybody to come along for this ride with Toyota. It's about being with everybody. What are we going to do? We're going to go. Energy. Where are we going to go? We're going to go places. Places are both literal and figurative. You know, that Google, they're going places. Figurative, right? Literal, let's get in your car and drive A to B. Let's go to where we need to go. The Let's Go Places is really our rallying cry about where we want to go with everyone. Being connected, being in that relationship, and that's what we're trying to do. Now, we have to deliver on that promise of Let's Go Places. I'd ask you a question. How about the company you're working for? Is it both? Are you connecting with your consumers both from an emotional side and a practical side that you can stand upon and you can back up? Well, I believe that Toyota's well on our way to making this quote a reality. And you can see this when we launched the Avalon at the end of last year. The Avalon was the first vehicle to fully embrace the spirit of more of the fun and exciting, practical and emotional that we see from Let's Go Places that we took from concept to reality. And I say that because if you're not aware, Avalon is the first vehicle that was completely designed, engineered, manufactured, sold, and serviced all in the US. So we started by being an advocate for or utilizing live stream chat with the design team. I know you haven't heard that with any other automotive company. The designers and the chief engineers never talk to the end consumers, right? It's just us marketers. But in this case, we're able to do that through Avalon. And it took the idea of how can we advance the idea of being between the car and its engineering and the end consumer. And it's about moving the experience for the consumer, for that end guest, all the way from shopping through ownership. And you've seen some of the ways that we're doing that. No, it begins with an engaging digital experience. All devices, always on, always ready. And then adapting to how consumers consume information, how to help navigate the shopping process, how to work through that to make it easier for that guest. Is a website going to do it all? No. So we also had to go to changing our new owner site. And what I get excited about the new owner site is because I think that so often, and all of us in our business, and maybe you do the same thing, is we end with the fact that we've sold a product. We got to the end and we're done. We sold it. But that is truly only half the story. Because our owners are family. There we are in a relationship with them that should continue to build. And that's what our goal is with this owner site. And it does that. It looks at what's happening at Toyota in an all-new way. It's about being connected with a bunch of partners. And the partnerships is important that we continue to build. And I would challenge you is to ask yourselves, what are the relationships that you are building? Because it is most important to be. So you know what? I want to thank you. I want to thank thinkLA for letting Toyota be a part of this.
Firing on all cylinders. I'm pretty sure everyone here in this audience can relate to driving a car where the pistons aren't firing. You sputter down the road, eventually it peters out. A marketing program is very similar. And what I'm going to talk about today is, from a marketing perspective, what you can achieve when you have the right cylinders. Cylinder number 1, Kia Motors. Cylinder number 2, David and Goliath. And cylinder number 3, Blake Griffin. And what they all share is a common challenger spirit. They all believe in being scrappy, entrepreneurial, and living their brand 24/7. In November of '99, I was actually living in New York City, in Tribeca. I was very comfortable. I got a call from Kia Motors asking me to do the one thing I've always wanted to do, and that's start my own agency. And they wanted an agency that was just as scrappy as they were. One that embraced the same values of being nimble, resourceful, focused, instinctive, and ultimately brave. Kia Motors and David and Goliath experienced some great stuff together over the years. But it came to a point where they were looking, we both decided that we needed another cylinder. And we wanted a spokesperson to represent the all-new Optima, which is a very non-traditional mid-size sedan. And we didn't just want anyone. We wanted someone who embraced the same values, someone who was scrappy, non-traditional, someone who was unafraid of taking risks, and somebody who wasn't as polished. And that's where Blake Griffin came in. We had 3 cylinders, Kia, D&G, and Blake, all in the same room together. And so that's what challenger brands do. They leverage each other's strengths to create more impact. And Blake, being the sort of challenger brand who was unafraid of taking risks, wanted to jump over a car. Kia Motors, being the challenger brand who's unafraid of taking risks, stepped up and said, you know what, jump over ours. And David and Goliath, the challenger agency that we are, said, you know what, we'll build an edit suite at Staples Center. We'll edit this spot. We'll have it on the air in 2 hours. And all 3 of them worked together. All 3 of them put it all out there. 2011. Dunking over a car is one thing. But being a car spokesperson is another. And I don't know how many people here have ever worked with celebrities before, but I would say athletes. When it comes to athletes, it's really tough working with them, you know, because they're either on the phone the entire time up until they have to read their line, or they just don't know how to act. And that's just, you know, that's just the way it goes. And we decided that in order to have Blake stand out and be credible, that we had to embrace him for who he was. And so our goal here was to embrace him in a very non-traditional way and make him the anti-spokesperson. While most traditional brands would say, there's 5 seconds there, you got to use that to talk about the car. We looked at it as an opportunity to create a connection, stronger connection with people out there, and really get across this whole notion of the 2 brands being authentic. What did we learn last year? Well, he's awesome, you know, in front of the camera. But behind the camera, he's an amazing collaborator. I mean, that's the true testament of an idea worth spreading, is that You know, when somebody likes it, everybody gets on board. And then you start getting your money's worth. You start earning what Fred would probably call free media, right? And that becomes, to me, I think that's what becomes really great about it, is that how far can it go, you know, based on one germ of an idea. But it's there. The key is to remember it, to stoke it, that little golden ember, and to embrace it and remember why you got into this business in the first place.
Today, I have the privilege of talking about two brands that we work on, both Kia and Hyundai, and give you some examples of how we really used content to help elevate the brands and craft unique applications of content and social for each. So branded content, it can take different forms. It could be video. It could be a social blast. It could be edit. Its distribution is varied. It could be via television, film, social channels, web channels, print media. And its intent also varies. What is the job that you're trying to do? Obviously, in the end, we're trying to create more favorable brand attitudes or direct shopping. But it could entertain, it could inform, or it could create an affiliation with a brand, which is you know, an important part of what both Hyundai and Kia had to accomplish over the last 5 years, which is they had to become more familiar brands, brands invited into people's lives, brands that didn't feel like they were outside of the American mainstream of popular culture and the American fabric. What might be a checklist for having successful branded content? You know, is it a good fit integration? Does it transcend the category? And something I'm going to touch on in a moment, it's having those conversations with the content producers, talking about what is it that they've wanted to do, where do they want to take the show. And by finding those shared interests, you can develop shoulder programming, or actually an interesting phenomena is to talk to program producers and give them more insights on the audiences that they're talking to. Is it going to be shareable? Obviously, social media only works if you give people something to talk about. And this is a notion that we are embracing today, is that consumers are the new network. They are the filter, the judge, the critic, and ultimately the distributor and endorser of good content. And we're finding more and more that when we do talk to program producers, that they look at the branded entertainment, or that the presence of our brands into their content is not just a tactic anymore, but it's a springboard to create new and varied forms of programming and different facets of that content. Kia had an objective to become more famous by attaching to key American popular culture. And what better place than the highly successful program, The Voice? So our elements included a sweepstakes on Pinterest, custom videos that ran online. We had a social media effort. We had a two-screen experience using Vigilant social television and the companion second screen app. Hyundai took a different path. They were in a different modality than fame building. They wanted to add a bit of a cool factor. And we were fortunate to connect with the program developers as well as AMC in an integration in The Walking Dead. And, you know, as Jack was saying, sometimes it's great to be good, even better to be lucky. And the whole zombie phenomena just took off, and we were able to ride that wave. We had two different brands, one trying to build fame through pop culture association, the other trying to fuel a bit of cool. And we ended up with two brand correct, on-strategy content associations, which have benefited both immensely. Thank you.